Hey, I'm gonna do the challenge, the React Quiz App Challenge, according to the requirements. Um, this is the architecture that I'm gonna implement. I'm gonna have a front end using Vite plus React with the home, the quiz, the results, and a dashboard. And I also gonna implement the backend using Node. And the communication between both will be using HTTP. So the backend will have endpoints, HTTP endpoints, and the front end will gonna use fetch to get the data. And so we're gonna have the home, we're gonna have the quiz page, we're gonna have results and a dashboard for the quizzes. This is the functional requirements. And the non-functional requirements, security, no authentication, so username to link to quizzes only. Yeah, it's gonna run locally, so performance, scalability. Now consider now for the style sheet, tail with CSS. So basically, this is what I'm gonna implement. So I have my environment here. You have an empty. I'm gonna use Claude. And I say Claude init. I'm gonna have Claude. I'm gonna have in this part the code generation. I'm gonna have cursor to see the code generated. I'm gonna have the backend in this pane. The front end in this pane, and code generation here, Claude. Right, so now we have only the Claude. So one thing that I want to tell you is that I have my own workflow. So basically, we're gonna use Claude with some commands for analyze. So this is basically okay. Hold on. So I have commands for analysis, for example. You see, I'm gonna do analysis, I'm gonna do the design. After that, we're gonna do a plan, execute the plan, and do the refactor. Basically, this is the workflow that I'm gonna follow. One thing for the database, we're gonna store the data using JSON. Make it simple, JSON files, and this is okay according to the requirements. It says here at some point that we can use. It's a mock API, and we can store in JSON. Okay, so now, according to, we have the cloud, right, in it, and because the cloud runs on any session, we're gonna add this. This is a requirement from the certification. Okay. So now, first step is to init the we're gonna init my workflow. Basically, it's gonna create a document file, the directory with all the files. This is for this inits that I have here, that is gonna create all the structure that I need for code generation using my own workflow. Okay. So now I have this. Inside the analysis, we're gonna create, to do the analysis, as you can see, I have the prompts for this. Basically, we're gonna read from docs, analysis, requirements, MD, right? So docs, requirements. Okay. Sorry. It's gonna read from the requirements and store the result in the analysis. So we're gonna do the analysis now. It's taking forever. Yeah, for the analysis, for the requirement analysis, we're gonna have the functionals requirements. Basically, the functional requirements is the home page, the dashboard, and this requirement that we have here, the user workflow. This part, the description, what is the quiz platform, gonna have the user overflow. We're gonna have the core features. Let's leave the content, expansion, and stretch features as optional for now. Well, sorry. Features. Yeah, let's leave the optional now out. Navigation, quick experience, scoring results, persistent and data, user engagement, optional, content expansion, and the backend, and non-functional. Let's get it from here. There you go. Okay, so we have the requirements. Okay, so let's add this part as well to the requirements. Certain criteria. Okay, with that, let's do the analysis. Okay, basically it's doing this phase. It's taking the requirements and analyzing the non-functional and functional requirements. So with that, we'll be able to do a design. We're gonna save this as a requirement analysis. The most important part for code generation is doing a good analysis and design, understand what is the architecture, right? And how you're gonna analyze that. So it says that all the functional and non-functional requirements are extracted. Is try to imply an architecture, right? And the analysis was written there. So now the next step is doing design, right? So we analyze, now we're gonna do a design. So let's do a design. Let's, given these requirements, let's do a design. And in case that we have designed something before using system design, you can paste it there to help. Basically, we're gonna produce a design document. So what it's doing is running this command. Right, it's analyzing the requirement analysis and trying to create a design document. So there are some issues. Some question here is how should user identify problem once required? Yes. All questions in one category. How many questions per? Yeah, it's okay. There you go. One important thing here is that when you have a design, for me, I spend 60% in this part, doing design and something that I call adversarial design. Basically, is like refining the design. I got the design, I do an adversarial, and then I improve until I get to a point that everything is okay. So you can see that it gives me 3 approaches. So yeah, let's go. Approach A. There you go. Now it's gonna give me some information so I can approve. You see? Yeah, development quiz, educational application, it gets categories, the questions. So the front end is gonna be React, Vite, React router, the DOM router. We're gonna have a home page, quiz, some results page, dashboard. The backend is gonna be Node and Express. The API is a mock API, and for persistent, we're gonna use the JSON file in the backend and local storage in the front end to make it easier. So for out of the scope, you're gonna have the real authentication, no authentication, as was specified here in the non-functional requirements. Okay, we okay with that. There you go. The flow chart is the high-level architecture, something similar to this. Okay. All the components that are part of the system design, the API, okay. It's good so far. Now we're gonna talk about the use cases. The use cases are the workflows involved in the system. Okay, so yeah, this is basically this part. The workflow the user is gonna do. Yeah. Give me a data model that I'm gonna use for the content JSON. This should be the proposed data model for storing the quizzes for the user in the front end. This is the proposed one. Okay. So now we have the idea, the entities, the data, and the potential models that we're going to implement. How is the communication between the front end and the back end? That's good. Now we're going to talk about non-functional requirements that we don't have that much because, as I said, we're going to run this locally. Authentication, yeah, we can get into performance and scalability in the future, but not now, out of the scope. You see? Okay. It's basically the workflow that we use for software engineering in the past, but now is guided by AI. So what I did with those prompts is to use the best practices that I have in the past to build software and encoded those practices in commands, basically. See. Yeah. So now, the good thing about this workflow as well is that everything is stored as a memory, right, in the docs. So you're gonna have the requirements, you're gonna have the analysis, right, for this particular feature. In the future, if you have to add a new feature, you're gonna create feature one analysis. You're gonna have the requirements for feature one. You're gonna have the analysis for the feature one feature. You're gonna have the design and so on. I'm gonna demonstrate the design, the adversarial design now. Okay, so I'm waiting for the design. There you go. You see? Requirements, analysis, design. We have the design now. So, okay. We have two options. We can go directly to implement a plan out of this design, right? Or we can improve the design. What I suggest you is to improve the design. Basically, this adversarial design is a prompt similar to the design, but add some instruction to find issues, improve it. So let me demonstrate that part. The concept here is to load from scratch, right? To have a clean context. So I have the adversarial and I say do the adversarial on this document. So it's gonna reread this file and it's gonna improve it. It's gonna reread the design. It's gonna improve it the best it can. Okay, let's assume that, because I don't want to spend time. Let's assume that this design is okay after some iteration, so we go to the plan. So it's gonna get this design as input and create a plan for execution. So this is this part. Assuming that we have iterated and improved the design, and assuming this design is very well, but when we run this, we can improve it manually because it's not that complex application. The plan is gonna do basically create where's the plan? It's gonna create faces. It's gonna understand the design, and it's gonna add task but faces and try to break, evaluate the task according to the size, and try to break the task down in order to make it manageable and make it easy to implement. The idea is to have tasks that can be tested using TDD. Yeah, this is the way it is. All right, so now we have a plan. The plan is written to the plan file. And now it says, so now we are ready to implement. So we can implement phase by phase. Let me see how many phases we have. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so the first phase is create the, let's see the step. Okay, let's run the first phase, is the scaffolding. So we're gonna create a monorepo with the client server. Okay. Yeah, it says that it's matching its phase to requirements, what is satisfies, and everything. All right. Okay. So how many phases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 10. Whoa. 10. Let me do if we can do it for 1 per minute. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There you go. The server, dependencies, the data. We can improve the structure according to what I love to do, but this is the client. Okay. Let's go, man. Let me see if we can run some tasks in parallel here. Okay, phase 1 is done. Let's do phase 2. Let me see. Phase 3, 4. Let me see. Let me see the structure here. Okay, we have the bits config, tailwind config, dependencies. Okay, application. Okay. For the backend, the data, the package. Okay. Okay. It finds dependencies to run in parallel. There you go. Now, see, it's giving some good practice structure for the server, the libs. Let me tell you, I have some sub-agents. I don't know if I'm running this now, but sometimes I use some agents for each technology. Sub-agents for Go, sub-agents for Chain, sub-agents for Python, no, Python backend, Node.js or React. Let me see if I have this. So, cloud agents. I don't have it now. No. And I used to have it in the past. Some agents that I can use in all the projects, and the idea of sub agents to be specific for each technology. So, because this is an agentic workflow, cloud code, it's gonna load in the context only the agents required for that technology. It's gonna have the specific rules for that technology to implement your application. Okay. TDD. Phase 4. Nice. 5, 6. Let me see. 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, it says that I'm gonna do this. Let's try it. Let's see if we can run this in parallel. See, okay, what can I parallelize here? $20. Trust please. Okay, hopefully 5 minutes for this. We're gonna have 15 for testing. So let me see here. This is the server. Okay, the package. So we're gonna start using node index, this one. Okay, the context, the port, yeah, this is express application, and the express application is created here. Okay, expose, okay, and of course this is the endpoint. Okay, so simple. For the client, Vit is gonna call the source, it's gonna call the index, the main, we have the React DOM. For routing, it's gonna load the application, right? The application have all the routes. Okay. And we have components here that implement, you can see the components, username gateway. We're gonna use the state to store the in a reactive variable, we're gonna store the state for username error. Okay, a callback. Okay, this callback can be improved using use callback, but okay, it's okay for now. Okay. Okay, this is the call to the APIs using fetch. Okay, some logic for scoring, some utilities, some utilities for storage. Great. Okay, I don't like this string. I like to name it page, but okay, I can change that later. So we have the home page, we have this now the quiz, sorry. Okay. Okay, it's gonna render this component by default for each route. This component have a section. Right, is as long as it's implement, this is a placeholder, right? So as long as it's implementing each component, for example, implements home, now replaces home for the real components, right? So for this path, we're going to the home. Great. So we have the components. It's a function component. We have the status, the categories that are gonna load, the navigation, a hook, and React routed DOM. So this is the effect that we're gonna call when we mount these components, and it's gonna set the loading, it's gonna get categories through the API doing fetch. Remember in the utilities. Okay, it's gonna save the, it's gonna update the status, state, and the categories. So once we have the categories, we'll be displaying the categories here. See the inline tailwind classes. categories. We're gonna map to buttons, right? Yeah, it's gonna have a list of buttons, so you can click. Right, the handler is navigate to category ID. Great. All right, so for when we go to the quiz by category, we're going to the quiz components. Almost done. Okay, so we need to get the parameters because of this. Okay, so use parameters hook. You get the category ID, the location. The use navigate hook to navigate using the React router down. We set the states, loading, the questions. Okay, the selections. Great. When we load these components, we get the questions and set the questions. Okay, so let's go here. What we're gonna present, we're gonna have a section, we're gonna have a header. Okay, because we know the category, we're gonna present the category. Okay, we have a question card, right? And the next button, to go to next question, the question card. So this is an example of like a molecule, right? So you have a page. In the page you load, you manage the state. Oh, nice. Oh, let's see this running now. Okay. So this is the front end. Hold on. The front end run. So okay. Okay, server. The server is listening on this port. See, for let's go there. Hold on. Where's the port? Okay, my name is Juan. This is the home, right? Oh, this is the where we get the user. This is the home. Okay, and then we can select. We render the categories. Then we go to the quiz. Okay, we have the first question, right? So okay, this is the question card. This is the question card, and this is the next button. Let me see the question card. See, this is the type of add-on. We don't manage here any states, only render out a question using the button. Okay, incorrect. Nice. So I was not thinking. What does the agent loop typically consist? Agent loop. This one. Next. What is giving a clear agent stopping condition? whatever. There you go. So when you get to the end, we go to the results, right? So you can see the results. Oh, let me move this. You see the questions and how it was taken. You can go to the dashboard for this user. You can see the last question for one. You see the questions, how was my result, 3 out of 5. And then I can retake the quiz. I go here, or let's do it again, whatever. Or we can go to the home, model selection, whatever. You see, in the dashboard you can see all the model selections, agents fundamentals. So we have a running application, less than 60 minutes. It covers all the requirements, right? Okay. Well, you have the code here. The only thing that I don't like here is the screens. This one I like to. So some refactoring here is to rename the screens for pages. So let me see. We have 7 minutes. We have time. Okay, it's simple. For example, if you need to pages, okay, you come here. Okay. If you want to do it the whole way, there you go. What else? If you want to, for example, make some changes in the home, you can come here. You can see, right, I don't know, if you want to, I don't change, for example, this one is render. Let's suppose you want to change the styles, right? So you're gonna have a list of categories, a button. You see? So, for example, rounded. For example, X is large. You see? Change it. Or the color, for example. Now for this, I don't have to know by memory, but if you go to Tailwind, text color, for example, change text color, typography, yeah, text red, or text indigo. It's this one. I need to delete this. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that's it. 4 minutes left. The other thing that we can do, for example, in case we want to refactor, let me see here, use effects, retry. Let me see callback. I'm trying to find a callback. Select, for example, select on select, right? You see? So yeah, one improvement, use callback to improve the performance. See? It's gonna import the use callback hook and yeah. Keep this, keep the file. So now you select is inside the callback. For example, this. Or let's go home. Let me take prompt engineer. You see, it's working. Another improvement, build attempt. What is that? This is for producing data now. For results, no, we don't have any callbacks. Yeah, that's okay. That's good. The only callback was that. Okay, so there you go. Dashboard. Go to the home. That's it.